Okay, a couple of things I want to show here in the timeline. You can click and drag and make a selection box to select multiple clips at once if you want. This here, the track select forward tool, selects everything from wherever you click forward in your project. So if I click here, it selects everything from that point, and forward into time. If I click here, same thing. So if you just need to select more than one track more than one asset at a time, you can do that. If you have a clip with motion in it, like I've got this pretty great tracking shot of the cat in the foreground and me washing dishes in the background. Generally, we want to cut into moving shots like this when the motion has started, and then we want to cut away before the motion ends. So I'm going to trim the back end of that. And you can see where we're moving. I want to cut out before the movement stops. And then the same on the way in. I want to start after the movement has started. Cool. And I want this clip to come directly after this clip. So I could either click and drag and push it so that they're next to each other like this. Or another thing that I could do is actually select the blank space between them by clicking in it. And then I can hit delete on the keyboard and it'll delete that blank space and slide everything down. That's called a ripple edit. So I made an edit and then it affects everything and it all sort of ripples down. All right, so that clip looks good. All right, we're going down. That's good, that's good. Cat's like, what are you doing? Then we want to go straight to this clip. This is another moving clip. So same thing, I want to cut into this clip after that motion has started already. So I'm going to click and drag. I'm using the trim tool right to when that motion starts. Perfect. I'm going to delete this empty space and ripple edit everything down. Scroll down a little bit. Let's check when this clip ends. Motion is happening, motion is happening. And it looks like motion stops right about there. So I'm just going to click and drag and trim the end of that clip up. Perfect. I'm going to zoom out, see what other clips I have here. This clip is one that my phone thought was vertical. And so what I need to do is actually rotate that clip. And so let's talk about our effect controls panel now. I'm going to close my bin. All right, so in the timeline, I've selected this clip. And if I double click on it, it'll open up here in the source viewer and saying, hey, I want to work on this clip here. And I'm going to click on the tab Effect Controls, and here's our effects. And if we add any effects, they'll show up here too, just further down on this list. Right now, it's just the defaults. And the ones you'll use probably most often are position and scale, if you need to scale up or scale down a clip, or rotation. So this clip, if I wanted to, I could just scale it up until it fit the horizontal video frame. And if it didn't quite land where I wanted it to, anytime you're in Premiere or any Adobe program and you see a blue number, that means you can click and hold down and drag left and right. So with scale, that's what I did. I clicked and held down, and then I can drag left and right to scale things up or down. Obviously, that's cropping a ton of the top and bottom of that clip. And so this is the position in XY pixel coordinates. So I can click and drag the vertical adjuster and I can move my video up and down. That's actually not what I want though. I'm going to reset that. I'm going to reset this. I actually just want to rotate it. So with rotation, remember I can click and drag, but I just want to do negative 90 degrees. So I'm going to click and let go and type in negative 90 and then hit return. Great. There it is. That's been rotated to exactly where it needs to be. This clip has a little bit of setup. I put my phone down in the sink and then I covered it with a Tupperware. So I actually want to start the clip after I cover it with a Tupperware. So trim that up. And after that clip runs, I'm washing my hands. That's great. I dry my hands with a towel. And then I go rescue my phone. So I'm going to cut maybe while I'm drying my hands with the towel. So trim that. Slide over here. Click in the empty space. Delete and get rid of it. And then here we are on my last clip. This is the tilt up. Oh, sorry, this is not my last clip. This is my last clip. This is going to be the tilt up on my cat. My cat's watching this whole thing happen. Again, this, I'm gonna zoom in. This clip has some action to it, some motion to it, so I wanna make sure it starts as the motion's already happening. So maybe I don't need this part of it with all this sort of dead foreground space. So I'm gonna trim that up. Let's skim through here, go up to the cat, and then I reset for a slightly different take on the same move, but I actually like this angle better. So I'm gonna cut before we start coming back down, right before the motion stops. And trim. Perfect. Delete this empty space. Now where are we here? Gonna zoom out to see our project. There's all my clips all in a row there. And our last clip is a close-up on rice. That's great. One thing I'm seeing here is that there's a little bit of shake. I was just hand holding it on the edge of the Tupperware here. So Premiere does have a way to stabilize this footage. It's not always very effective, but let's take a look at it now. And so for that, I'm gonna switch to our effects workspace because we're going to play with an effect. So I'm gonna go to Window, down to Workspaces, and over to Effects. So if you want, you can start digging through, if you twirl these down, drop these down, you can see the video effects. There's a bunch of different main categories, blur, color correction, distort, stylize, and then video transitions is the same thing. You have different types of transitions. Or if you know exactly what your effect is called, you can always click in the search box up here and just start typing the name of the effect. I've actually been doing that so long, I have no idea where the effect is stored that I'm looking for. But I know that it's called Warp Stabilize. So type in Warp, and there's two effects actually with the name Warp in it. There's Warp Stabilizer, the one I want, and then there's Wave Warp. I don't want that. So if your clip that you want to apply the effect to is already highlit or already selected, like this is here, you can always just double click on the effect and it'll automatically apply to this clip. You can do things a little bit more manually if you want. You can click and hold and drag the effect directly to the clip you want to affect and then let go. And that'll apply the effect as well. Warp Stabilize works basically in a two-step process. So first it analyzes all the footage, and then when it's analyzed all the footage, it generates basically like a set of parameters for how well it can take the motion out of it. And if we go to our, where is it here? Effect controls. Click on this. You can actually see Warp Stabilizer working. It's analyzing the footage. It tells you what frame, out of how many frames it's on, a percentage of that. And then it'll cycle through roughly how much time is left before it can tell you what's up. Okay, Warp Stabilizer is finished and it's applied a stabilization. And how Warp Stabilizer works is it basically tries to map the motion that happens in the clip, and then it zooms in slightly to the clip and tries to move the clip around sort of outside the frames, or outside the edge of the video frame, to undo the motion that it senses in the clip. And it's done a pretty good job. If I sort of scroll through here, you can see there's still a little bit of like wandering around. That's okay because the option I selected was smooth motion. But what if I want no motion at all? I'm going to select no motion. It's going to stabilize it. You see it punched in even more. But as I scroll through, you can see there's really almost no motion. We just have a little bit of weird kind of warpage on the front edge of the Tupperware here. That's classic Warp Stabilize. That's a weakness in the function. In this specific case, I can live with it. When I play it, it's so minimal. So I think that's going to work for me. If you want to preview what something looks like with the effect on or off, you can always uncheck or check the effects button here. So if I turn it off, you can see it sort of zooms out a little bit. If I turn it on, it punches in to sort of undo that motion. Anyway, so any effect that you drop in here, and then you can collapse these or drop them down just using these little arrows here. All right, let's get rid of that empty space. So I've got a rough cut of my project here in the timeline. It's just sort of grouped here. Let me delete the empty space at the beginning. There, and now I can see exactly how long my project is. I'm going to zoom in so I can see the time. And if I look here, this is where the playhead is. And if I look over here, this is how long my whole project is. So right now my whole project is 1 minute, 33 seconds, and 12 frames long.